Welcome to Living Local After Dark. I'm Karina Delgado, and this is All Access. Today, we have a special feature, friends of the show, Miriam's Kitchen, and we get a chance to speak with their Chief Advocacy Officer, Lara Pukach. Thank you for joining us today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Well, we absolutely adore Miriam's Kitchen on Living Local DMV, and just so grateful for all of the work that you do in the community. If perhaps some in our audience are unfamiliar with the mighty mission of Miriam's Kitchen, could you please tell our audience what it is exactly that Miriam's Kitchen does?
Absolutely. So Miriam's Kitchen is dedicated to ending chronic homelessness in DC. So we're helping folks who have been homeless repeatedly or for years and are also living with health conditions that are pretty serious. And we're doing that in a bunch of ways. So on site at Miriam's Kitchen, where we're located in the Foggy Bottom neighborhood, we're serving made from scratch meals to over 200 folks Monday through Friday, twice a day. And we're also connecting people to services when they come in for our meals so they can get toiletries, clothing, and be connected to medical services and, of course, housing, right, which is the thing we're always working towards to make sure folks don't have to experience homelessness in our nation's capital. We have a homeless street outreach team that is covering 33 square miles of the district, people who are literally hitting the streets, meeting people where they are, making sure they have the services and supplies they need to survive, and of course working with them towards housing. We have a housing program where we have over 400 people who have recently moved into housing and still need a little support to adjust to that and of course to address their health and well-being. We have a bridge housing site, which is our newest program where people can live in non-congregate setting in a more dignified way, and that's over on Union Station. And then, of course, we have our advocacy program, which I lead, which is just working with our elected officials to make sure that no one in our city experiences homelessness, and if they do, that it's a very short experience.
Wow. Whew, that is so much. You guys cover just from absolutely from A to Z with regard to this important issue in our community. And more importantly, you guys are even taking on even more right now during this time with addressing extreme heat. Can you tell us about the program that you guys are doing?
Yeah, well, the heat is really taking its toll, I think, on all of us, right?
Yeah.
But especially for folks who are living outside or sleeping outside and really exposed to the elements. So we have certainly adjusted our services. One thing we're doing is just opening earlier and for longer hours, right? One of the things people really need is just a safe place to sit and relax in the air conditioning, which I think is something we can all identify with. And then in addition to our meals and services we always offer on site, we're offering more cold water, right? Water to go, electrolyte drinks, cooling towels, all the things that people need to stay cool, even when they leave our doors and are going out into the city. And then, of course, sharing information, right? Some folks are coming to Miriam's Kitchen regularly, but some are spending time across the city, and so we want to make sure they know about cooling centers, about libraries, and other safe places that they can go to get away from the heat.
Well, and it's important to note that it is likely anybody who is within the sound of our voices right now, it may not necessarily be the audience that needs that information. So most importantly, how can we as a community amplify that message in order to allow our unhoused community to know that Miriam's Kitchen is there for them, especially during the heat times like this?
Yeah, if you visit our website at miriamskitchen.org, or even if you're following us on social media, we're always giving updates about how people can beat the heat, where they can go. And if you're equipped with that information, you can also share it with someone that you might see on the street. You can share those posts on social media to anyone in your network who might know someone experiencing homelessness or who can just pass the message on. So that's definitely one thing you can do. And then also, if you are outside and you see someone that might be struggling, you could offer them some water or Gatorade. That goes a long way. And if you don't have anything, just a smile, right? And of encouragement for folks that are struggling, especially in this extreme heat.
I think that's such an important part of the mission is just compassion, kindness. It doesn't take much to offer someone a bottle of water if you have it, or just to share the information of where they can go to cool down or get some water or some services as they're available. When it comes to Miriam's Kitchen, if there is anything that folks can do in order to support what you guys are doing at Miriam's Kitchen so that you can touch so many others, how can our audience support Miriam's Kitchen?
There are many ways people can help out. I mean, one is that you can always donate. Every dollar does count to making sure that we can get these supplies to people, to make sure we can run all the programs that I mentioned. So you can donate at miriamskitchen.org. The other thing you can do is volunteer. We rely on a huge group of volunteers to make these made from scratch meals, to provide services in our dining room. So if you're interested in cooking or serving meals or handing out toiletries and clothing, volunteering with Miriam's Kitchen is a great way to do that. And you can find that information on our website. There are two other things that we have going on right now also. One is we are collecting Metro Smart Trip cards. So maybe you had family in town this summer, or you bought a bunch of Smart Trip cards that you don't need anymore. We're collecting those extras from people that are coming in, tourist groups, school visits, any of those things. And you can just mail those to Miriam's Kitchen at 1250 24th Street Northwest. We're collecting those so that people can use the Metro cards to get around the city to their various appointments, to their jobs, but also because the Metro and bus can provide air conditioning right in the heat and a much cooler way to travel around town. And then lastly, folks can raise their voice. We are always advocating to our elected officials to make sure we just have the resources we need in DC to connect people to permanent housing solutions, to proven solutions to end homelessness. And so we run a campaign called the Way Home Campaign, and you can also check that out. You can sign up for our email updates or follow us on social media, and that's just at thewayhomedc.org.
thewayhomedc.org. Okay, that's easy to remember. And then, of course, your website is miriamskitchen.org, and I'm sure that we can navigate to the respective sites from there, or find ways to donate and volunteer at miriamskitchen.org. Well, thank you so much for all you do for the community and for joining us today. If you could stick around, I'd love to talk to you more about everything that Miriam's Kitchen has going on.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. You're watching Living Local After Dark. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Living Local After Dark. I'm Karina Delgado. This is All Access, and we're here today with Laura Pukach, the Chief Advocacy Officer for Miriam's Kitchen, and we're learning all about the incredible work that Miriam's Kitchen does in our community. Earlier, you spoke to something that I'd really like to do a deep dive into, and that is the bridge housing. Remind our audience, or include those who perhaps have just joined us during the commercial break, what the bridge housing is with Miriam's Kitchen and why it's so important.
Sure. Our goal at Miriam's Kitchen, of course, is to get people into permanent housing, but sometimes that process takes a long time, or there aren't enough resources in the city to house everyone immediately. And so it's critical that we have places that people can just stay and get out of the elements, right? Right now in the district, we have over 800 people who are unsheltered, who are living outside, and even thousands more in shelter. But what we have known for a long time, and also really learned during the pandemic, is that a congregate shelter where you're sharing a room with 30 people is not always a great fit and is not always healthy, right? And then there are also some other reasons that folks won't access some of those bigger shelters, right? If you are experiencing homelessness with your pet or service animal, you can't access those shelters. If you're experiencing homelessness with your partner or your spouse or your adult children who are of a different gender than you, then you can't go into those other big shelters that are kind of separated by men and women, right? And so we need other options for those populations that I mentioned, and also just so that people have a safe place to go temporarily until they get into permanent housing. So bridge housing is really a non-congregate shelter option that is really intended for folks who might already have gone through the housing process and are connected to a voucher but are still waiting months until they lease up. This is a safe place that they can be where case managers are there on site to connect with them so they can get through their housing process and smoothly. Also for people whose health is really struggling, right? A lot of people experiencing chronic homelessness are over age 55 and have serious chronic health conditions. So think about if you're trying to manage your hypertension, your diabetes, cancer treatment, right, from the streets is nearly impossible. But to be able to be in a place where there are more services on site and where it's just a really more dignified option, honestly, because you're either staying alone or maybe with one roommate as opposed to with 30 other people. And this is just a great proven best practice around the country that we're thrilled to have started operating through Miriam's Kitchen to help people get connected to housing and just to have a safe place to stay while they're waiting.
Oh, that's incredible. Could you describe for us what the bridge housing looks like, feels like? What is that experience like for someone who goes through there?
Yeah, I mean, I think you touched on it before, really just this sense of dignity and belonging, which is something we're so committed to at Miriam's Kitchen. You know, when you're experiencing homelessness or interacting with all various systems, a lot of it doesn't feel very great, right? You always have to go somewhere else, another form, another office. And you can also just feel a little invisible, right? And when you're going to one of these bigger shelters where they don't really have enough staff to provide on-site services, you know, it's not as welcoming. And so in a bridge housing site, it's really a smaller community, smaller rooms where you can have privacy, where you can access a bathroom kind of privately and safely, right? And there's also more staff on site, community rooms, places to access a computer, meals, you know. So a real service-rich environment, and also a place where the service is housing-focused, right? So not just a place where, you know, people are making sure you came in and you follow the rules, but are really invested in making sure that you're doing okay and that they're supporting you on your journey to housing.
Right, because that journey includes so much, whether that's connecting you to the services that can place you into housing, like to assist with the first month's rent or rental assistance, things like that. What other services are out there that Miriam's Kitchen connects people to through bridge housing?
Yeah. Well, I think what's great is that it really shows how all of our programs can work together, right? So sometimes before someone comes into bridge housing, they'll have been working with our street outreach team, right? And then they can have a warm handoff where the person is connected to bridge housing, they have a roof over their head, but they're already connected to Miriam's Kitchen, an organization that they trust. And, you know, the case manager that works on outreach can be sharing information and really helping to support the person that moves into bridge housing. And then on the other side, when we talk about permanent housing, you know, we really have this model of permanent supportive housing, which is a national best practice proven solution for people who are experiencing chronic homelessness, where you not only get permanent housing, but also the services to go along with it. And so that is a type of housing that we provide at Miriam's Kitchen. But also it might be that people are connected to another housing provider, and that's okay. But it's great that we are also knowledgeable about what it takes to kind of move people through the system, what documents are needed, you know, liaising with the different agencies that you have to go through with the government. And it's a really hard process to navigate and sometimes impossible to do without a case manager or a few. And so, you know, by having kind of all of these programs, we're able to work with folks holistically and kind of all along their journey to make sure that they can connect to permanent housing.
Yeah, it is, you know, extremely not only difficult, but just complicated system to navigate. So we're so fortunate here in the DMV that, you know, we have advocates and liaisons to hold your hand and navigate you through that, and then just be connected to, you know, to the different programs in the community that people are, you know, are able to access. I think that it's that access key that is really making the difference here in DC. I want to talk a little bit more about Miriam's Kitchen and access to those different programs and how we as a community can continue to step up for Miriam's Kitchen so that Miriam's Kitchen can in turn do its part in our community for our unhoused and homeless community here in DC. We'll be right back with Living Local DMV. Stay with us. Welcome back to Living Local After Dark. I'm Karina Delgado, and we are here today with Miriam's Kitchen and Lara Pukech, the Chief Advocacy Officer. We've been talking about the incredible services of Miriam's Kitchen, primarily focusing on bridge housing and all of the different services that our homeless community can be connected to through that program. But I wanted to circle back to the health services portion of it. You mentioned something earlier that really struck me, which was that often as people are homeless, they're going through their health issues, whether that's being diabetic or having cancer treatments. And it occurred to me that often it is the crisis of the medical condition that sometimes creates the homelessness, because there comes this point in your healthcare where you have to decide, do I want to live or pay rent? And unfortunately, we see that more often than not. But what are some services that Miriam's Kitchen offers in this area?
Yeah. So, one thing we're so excited that we've launched is a patient navigation program. So, many of our guests that are accessing our dining room or our outreach clients are struggling with really serious health conditions that are impossible to manage when you're living outside, right? Imagine not also staying well hydrated. Imagine not having a refrigerator to put your medication in, right? And so, through our patient navigation program, we're able to support people in making appointments, going to appointments, keeping track of the information and the appointments that all go along with it. I think that's something that's hard, even when you're in stable housing, right? So having someone who's kind of keeping track of it, also who will go with you to a health appointment. If you haven't been to the doctor in 10 years, 20 years, it can be really scary, right? Or maybe you just kind of don't want to go, so you don't follow through with the appointment. But kind of having a support person to go with you can be really helpful. And same too with all the paperwork and the insurance that goes along with it, right? Having someone just help you to navigate your insurance, right? Those appointments, making sure the paperwork is in order. If you get a bill, should it have been that amount?
Right.
Can we follow up? How are we paying for it?
That's hard for us. For
100%.
every average regular schmegular folk. I mean, I'm constantly on the phone arguing with, insurance providers as it is. And, I can't imagine having to navigate that without having, a roof over my head or somewhere that I can keep my paperwork or notes of the correspondence. I also imagine that for someone who is unhoused, perhaps they feel like they're not getting the level of care that they deserve in medical facilities. So to have a liaison with them sort of helps them sort of break through those barriers as well.
Absolutely. I think we both probably have experienced those times where you need to do a little self-advocacy, where you have to say, wait, like that wasn't clear, or that's not how I remember that, or what does this bill mean, right? So just having someone who can help support you in that. And then similarly, at our Bridge housing site, one thing that we're hoping to do there soon is something called medical respite, where we can also have more intensive health services on site. So with the example of, if you are going through chemo, for example, or you just had a surgery, you had your hip replaced, how are you doing that when you're experiencing homelessness? How are you doing that, even in some of those big shelters I mentioned? But if we have dedicated kind of beds for folks who are really going through a medical emergency in a safe, stable place where there's on-site services, that is really critical to people's recovery and kind of takes some of the worry off so they can also just survive, right? And thrive and get better, while they're also waiting for permanent housing.
Wow, that is incredible. But of course, we know that none of this is free in these type of services. They all cost money. And they recently, as you mentioned earlier, just passed this year's fiscal funding. Can you speak to where Miriam's Kitchen is now for funding for the upcoming year?
Yeah, so one of the big pieces of our advocacy work at Miriam's Kitchen and through the Way Home campaign, which I mentioned, is to influence DC's budget, right? I mean, in DC and across the country, we know it works to end homelessness, but it costs money, like you say, right? And at the end of the day, it's housing, right? That's, the shelters, the bridge housing, the outreach, those are all things we're doing to help make sure people are doing okay and they get better. But the real solution to homelessness is housing. And we can't connect people to housing unless there's money in the budget for it. So we're working hard every year to make sure that there is housing specifically for people experiencing homelessness in DC's budget. But year over year, we've really seen underinvestment in that. This past year, we passed a budget where luckily we were able to fill a bunch of gaps in the mayor's proposed budget and did secure resources thanks to our advocacy and that of our partners to connect almost 500 households to permanent housing, which is great. But it also doesn't scratch the surface, right? We have over 4,000 individuals and even more families experiencing homelessness in the district. So we are not going to end homelessness if we just invest a few hundred, units of housing here and there every year. We really need to be serious about investing in solutions and putting that money into the budget in a predictable way, so then we can all plan and work to connect people to permanent housing that we know saves lives.
Yeah. What would you say is the most impactful way that our audience can get involved to make sure that that happens?
I think, just raise your voice. You can tell your council member that ending homelessness is something that you care about. I think that many more people in our community care about ending homelessness, care about their neighbors, don't want people to have to sleep outside than they're hearing from, right? Very few people actually make a call about that. And so, you can follow us at The Way Home for opportunities to raise your voice, but you don't have to wait till it's budget season. You don't have to wait till they're, just coming to a vote. You can email your council member anytime and say, hey, like, I really want to see you making sure that there are resources in the budget to end homelessness and to make sure that we're not just talking about affordable housing for people that are making $60,000 a year, but for people that are homeless who need a place to stay right now.
Ugh, so very true. Well, again, thank you for joining us today. Thank you for the wealth of information that you've given us. And one more time before you go, please let us know the website where our audience can log on to get more information about Miriam's Kitchen and all of your incredible programs.
Yes. Well, thanks again for having us and all your support. If you'd like to donate or volunteer, you can visit miriamskitchen.org. And if you'd like to join our advocacy work and raise your voice to end chronic homelessness in the district, you can do that at thewayhomedc.org.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.